guys, sorry for the extreme lateness and how everyone not made a video in a gazillion years.
Hello and welcome to me on the internet. This is my boyfriend's Lego AT-AT. This is my painting pile. These are some of my paintings. That is a map of Tamriel. My boyfriend's gonna crucify me if I got that wrong. Today, I am answering questions that nobody asked and eating something vague and mysterious off in the corner. Oh, that totally went into shot. And also you saw that. No, you didn't. You like my rainbow lights? I had downstairs neighbors in 2020 who had rainbow lights in their window, and I'm like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. What is that? And they told me they were Rubik LEDs from Govee. I love them. I've had them since we moved in together, and I love having rainbow lights. So yeah. I wrote down a list of questions to answer, questions that nobody asked me, but I thought I'd take the liberty of answering anyways because I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what people want me to talk about. The fish thing was cool. The fish thing was fun. I've cut my hair since then. On my own, I cut my hair myself. You can tell a little bit. So my first question is the first novel I read, and what was it? The first novel that I think I remember reading was Black Beauty. My grandmother used to like reading to me when I was a little'un. And she'd read like all kinds of books to me. I remember so many books very fondly because we were just always reading. And I continued that into my life now. I still read. That's a cool thing to I still read books. I still read. I don't read as much as I would like to, but the first novel that I had gotten was the Black Beauty. It's about a horse. I don't know. I don't remember a whole lot about it aside from it's about a black horse who was sold at an auction at one point, was in a stable fire. At some point there was a baby black horse, but I don't remember if it's, as Athena P says, the titular bitular. The black stallion herself or her baby, I don't remember. Hold on, I'm being called to. Apologies. I have a small child who is going to bed but likes several snacks at night. Anyways, yeah, Black Beauty. I don't remember a whole lot about what that was about. Very vague memory of that. Next question. Something I've done as an adult that younger me would be proud of. Honestly, I think pretty much my whole life at the moment, younger me would be so excited by. I think the fact that I don't talk to my parents anymore, which is that's an accomplishment for me, honestly. I don't speak to my parents. I have a child who I love very dearly, and I have the love of my life, my high school sweetheart, his father, and I've actually known him, or like known of him, since we were 10, 11. He chased me around the playground until I cried, because I did not know what tag was. I thought he was going to murk me. So that was cool. And then we met again later when I moved back to the area. And we met again in middle school. We had the same homeroom. He walked me to my math class a couple times because I was the new kid and I didn't know where my math class was. And I spent most of that year in and out of school. Yeah, and then after that we met again in high school, and the rest is history. And also maybe a YouTube video if he's chill with it, because I think we have a very good love story. I think not perfect, not great, but I think there are still some really good aspects to that, and it ended really well in the end. So I think that is what makes for a good love story, is one that ends with everybody very happy. My Cheez-It! I dropped it. That was so unfortunate. I don't have very many left. That's so sad. So the next question is a place that I have been to that I would like to go back. I haven't been to too many places. I born and raised in Maine. I hadn't left until I was 13. I get excited about billboards because those are illegal here. I get extra excited about digital billboards. I have like a whole story about that, like a little travel story that I should tell sometime about the first time I left Maine, because it's silly goofy. And so I haven't been, I think, the farthest I've been in New York City. Love New York City. I would so go back to New York City. But like top place that I've been to that I would go back to is Salem. Like I know for a fact 100% I am absolutely definitely going back to Salem, Massachusetts again. In New York City, maybe I might. But Salem, Massachusetts is absolutely a place I would go back to. The next question is, what is my comfort food? This one's a little strange. I get a couple side eyes and like, girl, what are you talking about? When people ask me my favorite, like my comfort food, and I go, chocolate milk. And they're like, what? Chocolate milk? That's not a food. It's, I don't know, it's something that it brings me a lot of comfort. Obviously that's what a comfort food is, but it brings me a lot of comfort, mostly just because I think, I don't know, when I have chocolate milk, it just like reminds me of the people who love me, which is very nice when you have come out of a place where not so many people who were supposed to love you loved you. So like to have that, and like, yeah, I would go to my auntie's, my great aunt. She, wonderful woman, like, oh, so sweet. I love her so much. She's such a good woman. She was very important part of my life, big comfort. I would go there a lot when I was younger, and she would always make sure I had chocolate milk, because I would always want chocolate milk, and I would like demand chocolate milk. I wasn't a bad kid. It was just, this was like one of the very few places that I felt safe to be a child. So, you know, I like go over there and I was, you know, I was her little princess and everybody was like, I want chocolate milk, Ani, like I need my chocolate milk. And so she would always make sure I had chocolate milk. And she'd tell me this story about how when I was really little, this is probably gonna be one of the most Maynard things I'm about to say about myself. But when I was really little, she lived in this like really big plot of land, and her parents-in-law lived like, I don't know, like quite a bit of ways. But there was like this big field in between them. Yeah. Anyways, I'm on this little four-wheeler. Ani didn't have any chocolate sauce. I'm on this little four-wheeler and I go up the field. I'm like 3 or 4 years old, going up the field to go get the chocolate sauce so that I can have chocolate milk. And it was like, you know, one of the few things that made me feel really loved as a child. And then when I was in high school, my boyfriend, I told him that I love chocolate milk and that chocolate milk was like my comfort food and like all that stuff. And so I guess there was, I think it was a vending machine or something like that near his JROTC classroom. And we had last period science together freshman year. So like all the time he would come into class with a bottle of Nesquik chocolate milk for me. I appreciated it so much. I think this is one of the most, like, oh, he's one of the most thoughtful people I know. He's so sweet. Yeah, so. Oh, and also I have a cousin who, well, he's my dad's cousin, but he's like more like my uncle because I just spend so much time with him. My dad didn't have a brother and they like grew up together and all that. So he's basically my uncle. We would go over to his house all the time for game nights. I think it was like once a month we'd like go down and do a game night and spend the night at his house when I was in high school. Which was so fun. It was so fun. And he would always make sure that I had chocolate milk. Which again it's just one of those things that's like, if somebody like loves and cares about me, then they like make sure I have chocolate milk, and that is what makes me feel better every time I drink chocolate milk. And then it just kind of perpetuates that people like keep on loving me and they keep giving me chocolate milk and it keeps making me feel loved. And you know, I have times too where I'm like, I'm really upset, I'm like frustrated or whatever, and Gus is like, go drink some chocolate milk, and I'm like, excuse you, and I go and I drink some chocolate milk and it does make me feel better, which again is another one of those things that like make me feel really loved. And it's, you know, it's good to, yeah. So my comfort food is chocolate milk, and I talked about that for so long. I'm so sorry. Stirring it. You know how like women do like their wine glasses? That's like me with my chocolate milk. Yes, I must accentuate the flavor. I am an adult, actually, fully grown. Barely, but you know. What am I most grateful for in this season of life? I honestly want to say that at this point in my life, for the first time in my life, I am so incredibly thankful for my family and like the people around me and my support system. You know, because growing up, I did it alone. I grew up alone. Really, I didn't really have very many friends. It was hard to keep friends when you're moving back and forth every couple of years and like constantly being traumatized, and you feel like you just can't connect to other people your age. And even if you do, you're just out of the school in a couple years anyway. So, or, you know, like you never know when your life is going to explode. So you're like, you know what, it's not even worth it at that point. And a family that perpetuated the behaviors that led to my life being the way that it was not an environment that really nurtured any kind of connection. So where I'm at in this point in my life, where I'm away from all of that. I'm separated from that. I'm living with the love of my life. We have been living together for 2 years. Before I lived with him, I lived with my best friend. So for the last like 3 years of my life, I have been living in a loving environment, which is brand new to me. Like, you know, I'm like living in a place where I can like relax and like let my shoulders down and be like, yo, this is my safe place, and I can be chill because this is my safe place. And my boyfriend's family they are so wonderful and sweet and kind and thoughtful, and they, you know, they make sure that we have everything we need, and they're always checking in on us, and they're, you know, constantly staying connected. We do dinner with his mom every Sunday. His brothers help with babysitting all the time. You can see both of his grandparents' houses from our window. And like, you know, and they help out with rides and stuff, where I'm still working on getting my license. I have my permit. That's another thing altogether, but yeah, I think I am most grateful for my loved ones. I have my best friend of 10 years that she's wonderful. I'm so glad that we're like going through this life thing together. And I have been at the same job for almost a year. I have been, you know, making friends, which is really nice. Although I still have that like creeping, nagging thing in the back of my head that's like, oh, it won't stick. There's no real point in trying because you're not gonna stay friends. But that's me. That's on me to work on. But you know, I am still very thankful for the people who are there and show up for me. It makes me a little uncomfortable sometimes as somebody who's never been shown up for, but I'm learning to accept it, and I'm, you know, I even when it makes me uncomfortable, I'm still very thankful for it. Yeah. Childhood best friend. Going off of the same like vibe of that, it's hard really to like pinpoint that exactly, because I had a lot of childhood friends. Like I said, I was moving school every year or two. I was, you know, I never really stuck around anywhere. So I think even by the first time I moved schools, I was just not interested in making friends anymore. Because I moved schools halfway through first grade, and for my first whole like year in that school, I genuinely refused to make any friends, to the point where I think it wasn't until I hit second grade where the teacher like talked to my other teacher and was like, hey, she didn't make any friends like the whole last half of this year, and then she's like, well, she's also not making any friends the whole beginning half of this year. So she set me up with these 2 girls who were already friends, and it was an interesting dynamic. I don't think I think it kind of really set the stage for me feeling like people were only friends with me out of pity, because I don't know, I just like, they weren't genuine friends that I like made on my own. Don't get me wrong, one of them I was like actually kind of close to, and I like still saw her a few times, and the friendship just kind of fizzled out, because that's just what happens, especially when you don't go to school together or don't see each other and don't have social media because you're like 8. I think we talked on Moshi Monsters for years, and then when Moshi Monsters wasn't cool, we just lost all contact completely. I did recently find her on Facebook and reach out to her, and I spoke to her a little bit, but it wasn't, I'm not sure if that's gonna go anywhere. I suppose you gotta put a little effort into it if you want it, but I don't know. So those were the first, yeah, well, they weren't like the first friends I had. The first friends I made were in kindergarten. There were, you know, these two girls, and one of them was just mean. Like, she was always mean to me all the time. And then the other one ended up being my first kiss. Not my first girlfriend, but she was my first kiss. And I still, like, speak to her occasionally. I haven't heard from her in a while. She moved away. Life is life, but you know, we've been friends for so long, and we dated for like an instance in middle school. Like, that, it's nothing. And yeah, and then the other girl was just mean to me all the time, and that perpetuated for literal years, to the point where she told my best friend at one point that she wished I would just stop talking to her and go away, but she, like, never told me to stop talking to her. Yeah, she girl never liked me from the beginning, because she would always be like, no, we're gonna go play with someone else, which is when I met a boy who was a little older, who I would play cats with in the snow, because it was kindergarten. I had a huge crush on him, I think. Yeah, and then I met those two girls that I was, like, arranged friendship with. And then I did become friends with another girl that I did cheerleading with. I was a cheerleader at one point. I did a lot of things. I did a lot of things. And yeah, and so I was, like, kind of friends with her. I also reconnected with her just very minimally when I first moved up here again, because I'm like, hey, I'm in the area, so I might as well see if anybody remembers me. Yeah, and then that's, I guess, it for childhood. I mean, like, those were childhood friends. If I want to say, like, genuine, actual, like, childhood best friend, then it would probably be my current best friend right now, even though we didn't actually become friends until we were 10 or 11, which is still childhood. It's just late childhood. And the other girl that I became friends with in kindergarten, I mean, we were friends. We've always been friends, but we've never been, like, best friends, you know, like, I don't know. Yeah. And speaking of growing up, my final question, my things I wanted to be when I grew up. There were a couple of things that I wanted to be when I grew up. When I was younger, I think the first thing that I remember telling my grandmother that I wanted to be when I grew up, I remember coming home from school in kindergarten, and I think I was talking about how I wanted to run a no-kill cat shelter. That was what I wanted to do, was I wanted to have a shelter for cats, and we weren't gonna kill them. And I had also, like, thought about, like, owning a cat cafe where cats get adopted out of the cafe, and it mixes, like, baking and cats, and I love baking and I love cats. And then I also just wanted to be part of a family, which I did do. I did go on and do. I also, I think later teen years, I contemplated becoming, like, a social worker, like working for DHS and trying to help kids who were like me. But I ended up going into psych. I'm a psychiatric technician in a psychiatric hospital, and I work with pediatric patients, and I do the overnights, so I think in a way I still kind of am aligned with those values. I worked food service for years. I also was I mean, this is, like, kind of going off of, but, like, I ended up working food service for years. I hated it. I'm never going back to food service ever. Like, it's a good job when you're 16 and you need a job and you need literally anybody to hire you. but eventually it like kind of sucks and you want to do something more with your life. And so I went and I ended up working at a hotel. I was front desk. I've done like cleaning for hotels, but it was not really like, I enjoy cleaning, but I enjoy cleaning my own home. And if I have a job where I'm cleaning, I'm not gonna want to also clean at home. So I was like, all right, I can't do this one anymore. And then I ended up front desk at a different hotel where I also was the weekend night auditor. So I do the front desk during the weekdays, and then on the weekends I would come in and I'd do the overnights where I would do the audit, which was a lot of fun. I really liked that. It was my first fully overnight job. Oh, I used to be a closing manager at a McDonald's before that, and then I went into the night audit, and now I'm like overnight psych tech. So I've kind of always gravitated towards being awake at night and like working at night. I enjoy it. I like being awake during the nighttime. I'm a vampire. I can't escape it. I just can't. I don't know. I just am a vampire, and I don't have anything else to say about that. It's not an allegation. It's just true.
Hello, editing bunny here. I completely forgot to add that being an author, like, hello, that's the literal like actual dream goal that I'm working on. Don't mind the like mascara and stuff all over my pillow. But yeah, no, I can't believe I completely slipped my mind to mention that something I've always wanted to be was an author. Because that was also like part of my thing was like I was gonna own the shelter and I was gonna sell books that I wrote in the shelter or like the cat cafe or whatever. So yeah, can't forget the writing.
And I guess I'll do one more question. One last final question off of my list of questions that nobody asked me, but I'm telling you anyways. My favorite season is fall. Obviously. I mean, obviously. I love fall. I love autumn. I love the colors. That's like one thing that Maine really has going for them is our foliage. I love me some good peak foliage. So much so that my boyfriend and we're not engaged, but it's essentially like we're at a point where we're like engaged to be engaged. It's like, you know, like we know we're gonna get engaged, like we know we're gonna get married, but we're not like 100% there yet, but we're still like talking about things in bits and pieces and chunks because we love each other very much and we have loved each other very much for a very long time. And we're just not ready to be at the point where we are married yet because we're not even 22. And also I got stuff to work on as a child who has problems from existing. And so I've had a lot of time to grow, and we were separated for a few years, but we're anyways. I love fall so much. I love peak foliage. Where I was going with that tangent was we have like officially unofficially decided on a wedding date of like all of the like weird, you know, like Arbor Day, Labor Day, like all of those things are like all named the same kind of stuff, so I don't it's you know, the like basically first weekend or so, or like second weekend of October, where it's like peak foliage. Oh, and I had a white screen up there and it turned itself off, so I guess that's my cue to shut up because I've been talking for too long. I've answered all the questions that nobody asked. Thanks. my phone's also like gonna die, so I guess now's a good time to move on to the editing phase. Maybe record another video. I've got my backpack that I need to unpack, that I think would be fun to go over it, and while I have this break where my boyfriend's not home, I'm gonna like record a couple videos, see what happens. I got 53 views on my fish video. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Bye, thanks for watching.
Since nobody has sent me any fish, this week's fish of the week is the emo axolotl from Build-A-Bear.
We are at 84 subscribers. Oh my god. Can you, like, that is crazy. Like, imagine being in a room with 84 people and they're all looking at me with their eyeballs, listening to what I want to talk about. That's insane. That's crazy. I got 7 subscribers from my fish video. So once again, I'm asking, send me your fish to be highlighted at the end of videos and stuff, so that you can have your moment in the sun with your fish. And yeah, so I think it would be awesome to try and get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. That's obviously going to require a bit of effort from me in making videos and continuing to engage, but thank you for giving me your time and listening to me yap. Bye.
Hold on.
Wait.
Now go. Wait.